Have you ever wondered about the popularity of fishing in the United States? To understand it, we need to dive into the history. Long before the arrival of European settlers, Native American tribes across the land were fishing the abundant waters. Their methods were as diverse as the tribes themselves, using everything from woven nets to simple hook and line techniques. For these early inhabitants, fishing was not a pastime. It was a vital source of sustenance and a key component of their societies. Then, with the dawn of the colonial period, fishing took on a new significance. The settlers, many of them unfamiliar with the New World's harsh and unfamiliar landscape, turned to the sea and the rivers for survival. Fishing became a lifeline, a means of securing food when crops failed or game was scarce. But it wasn't just about survival. Fishing also played a crucial role in the burgeoning economy of the colonies. Fish, especially cod, were abundant in the North Atlantic and quickly became a valuable commodity. Ships loaded with dried and salted fish sailed from New England ports to destinations across the Atlantic, fueling trade and helping to establish these new settlements. And as these colonies grew into the nation we now know as the United States, fishing remained a core aspect of life. It was woven into the fabric of communities on both coasts and along the country's vast network of rivers. The techniques evolved, of course, with the advent of new technologies and the influence of different cultures. But the essence of fishing, the connection between people and the water, remained the same. Then, as the country expanded westward, so too did the scope of fishing. The vast freshwater lakes and rivers of the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest offered new opportunities, and fishing began to transition from a survival necessity to a popular pastime. Today, fishing remains deeply ingrained in the American identity, and while it's certainly evolved over the years, the roots of this beloved activity can be traced back to those early days of survival and trade. As the U.S. expanded, so did the scope of fishing, transforming from a survival necessity to a popular pastime. The 19th and 20th centuries saw a significant shift in fishing in the U.S. As we delve into the rich tapestry of fishing's history, we can't ignore the profound influence of the Industrial Revolution. The manufacturing boom didn't just transform the urban landscape, it also spilled over into the world of fishing. Prior to this era, fishing was primarily a means of subsistence. However, the advent of canned foods and improved transportation systems made fish a commodity that could reach tables far from the coasts and freshwater bodies. Parallel to this, the 19th century also marked the birth of recreational fishing. With the burgeoning middle class having more leisure time, fishing began to be seen as a pastime, a way to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. The writings of authors like Isaac Walton and Henry David Thoreau romanticized the tranquility and introspection that fishing offered, further fueling its popularity. But as fishing shifted from being purely a means of survival to a recreational activity, the need for regulations became apparent. Overfishing was already a concern by the late 19th century. Hence, the 20th century saw the introduction of measures such as fishing licenses and catch limits to ensure the sustainability of fish populations. Meanwhile, the 20th century also heralded a new era in fishing gear and technology. From the basic wooden rods of the past, we moved to fiberglass and graphite rods that were lighter and more durable. Reels evolved from simple contraptions to sophisticated devices with features like drag systems and gear ratios. Fish finders and GPS systems made locating fish a science rather than a game of chance. These advancements not only made fishing more efficient, but also turned it into a beloved recreational activity. The evolution of fishing in the 19th and 20th centuries was a journey from necessity to recreation, from rudimentary tools to advanced technology, and from unregulated exploitation to mindful conservation. This journey has shaped the fishing practices we know and love today, making it an integral part of our cultural fabric. Fast forward to the present day, fishing in the US is more than just a hobby. It's a dynamic activity that merges relaxation, sport, and even a bit of ecological study. With the country's vast and diverse landscape, anglers have access to a wide variety of fishing locations and an impressive array of fish species. From the freshwater lakes and rivers in the Midwest to the coastal waters of the East and West coasts, Each region offers unique fishing opportunities. In the heartland, you'll find species like bass, catfish, and crappie. Head towards the coasts and you'll encounter saltwater species like marlin, tuna, and striped bass. And let's not forget the magic of ice fishing in the frozen lakes of the north during winter, where walleye and northern pike are the prized catches. But it's not just about the thrill of the catch. Fishing is also a significant economic driver, supporting jobs and contributing to local economies. The fishing industry, including recreational, commercial, and subsistence fishing, contributes billions of dollars to the US economy each year. It supports jobs in sectors as diverse as tourism, boat manufacturing, and retail. Moreover, fishing licenses and fees fund important conservation efforts. These funds go towards maintaining healthy fish populations, protecting habitats, and ensuring that future generations can enjoy the same fishing opportunities we have today. Fishing tournaments, too, have become a lucrative business, attracting thousands of participants and spectators. These events not only entertain, but also stimulate local economies, bringing in revenue through tourism, sponsorships, and media coverage. In essence, fishing has evolved from a means of survival into a beloved recreational activity. It's a way to connect with nature, to challenge oneself, and to contribute to conservation efforts. And for many, it's a tradition handed down from generation to generation, a cherished part of their heritage and lifestyle. Fishing is not just a pastime, it's a significant contributor to the US economy. What does the future hold for fishing in the US? The answer to that question is both profound and complex, because the future of fishing in America is tied to several important issues that we face today. Overfishing, climate change, and pollution are just a few of the challenges that threaten our beloved pastime. Overfishing is a worldwide problem that also affects our local waters. When fish are caught faster than they can reproduce, it leads to a decrease in fish populations and eventually their collapse. The Atlantic cod and Pacific sardine are just two examples of species that have seen dramatic declines due to overfishing. Then there's climate change. Rising temperatures affect the life cycles of fish, altering their breeding patterns and migration routes. Warmer waters can also lead to the spread of diseases among fish populations. In fact, some species may disappear from our local waters altogether, while invasive species could thrive in the new conditions. Pollution is another major concern. Chemicals, plastics, and other waste materials can harm fish and disrupt aquatic ecosystems. This not only affects the fish we catch, but also the health of our rivers, lakes, and oceans. So what can we do to ensure a future for fishing in the US? The answer lies in sustainable fishing practices and conservation efforts. We must respect fishing regulations and catch limits, which are designed to ensure that fish populations remain healthy. We must also support efforts to clean up our waterways and combat climate change. Innovation is another key part of the solution. New technologies and fishing methods can help us fish more sustainably, while advances in aquaculture can relieve pressure on wild fish populations. The future of fishing is a shared responsibility. It's up to all of us, from recreational anglers to commercial fishermen, from policymakers to scientists, to ensure that our waters continue to teem with life for generations to come. The future of fishing lies in our hands, and it depends on how we manage and protect our resources. So, why is fishing so popular in the US? We've journeyed through its history, seen its evolution, and pondered its future. Now let's put it all together and understand why this pastime has such a deep-rooted place in American culture. Fishing in the United States is more than just a leisure activity. It's an integral part of our nation's history, tracing back to the earliest settlers who depended on fish for their survival. From the Native Americans who taught Europeans their techniques, to the pioneers who discovered new species in the uncharted territories, fishing has always been a part of the American story. Fast forward to the 19th and 20th centuries, and we see how fishing has evolved. It's no longer just about survival, it's about sport, competition, and even science. Innovations in fishing gear, the rise of commercial fisheries, and the growth of recreational fishing have all contributed to this transformation. Today, fishing is a beloved pastime for millions. It's a way to connect with nature, spend time with family and friends, and even contribute to the economy. Yes, you heard that right. Fishing is a major economic driver, supporting jobs and contributing billions to the US economy every year. But as we look to the future, it's clear that fishing faces challenges. From climate change affecting fish populations to pollution threatening our waterways, there's a lot at stake. And that's why it's more important than ever to fish responsibly and sustainably. We all have a role to play in preserving this cherished pastime for future generations. In essence, fishing is a thread woven into the fabric of America. It's a part of our past, a significant aspect of our present, and a responsibility for our future. Fishing in the US has a rich history, a vibrant present, and a future that requires our attention and care. So, the next time you cast your line, remember that you're not just fishing. You're participating in a tradition that stretches back centuries and will hopefully continue for many more.